All right, ladies and gents, today's podcast is brought to you by the letter N. The letter N stands for nobody because we're not quite sponsored yet. But this is podcast number 19, which means next week we hit Dub City Trick. We'll hit big number 20. We've been doing this for a little minute. We got plenty of good stuff today. I'm talking plenty of NFL preseason. Julio Jones just got some money, baby. We got plenty of more good stuff. We'll talk plenty NFL. The whole RG3 saga. So, stick around. I might have something good to say.
This is the FTP podcast.
All right, let's jump right in with some football updates. NFL preseason is ready, roaring, and we're already at dress rehearsal week. Yes, NFL preseason week number 3. Before the Falcons' preseason game this week, Julio Jones inked a new deal, 5 years, $71 million, and he managed to not have to hold out, not have to say much of anything publicly, and still got paid more than Des Bryant and Demaryius Thomas. What does that say about the way to get paid? Show up to work, work hard, and normally you'll be recognized for it. That's what Julio did. We had this conversation a few months back when Dez and Demaryius both got their contracts. No, I don't necessarily believe in investing that much money in a wide receiver to build your franchise, but I also don't believe in letting a talent like that walk away. So, that being said, congratulations, Julio. You have earned every penny of that contract, good sir. Hard work pays off. I give you a hand clap, and I think the next guy who's going to be getting inked done soon, it may wait till they'll probably wait till the end of the season, probably next offseason. But AJ Green is going to get paid, and I would not be surprised to see his contract eclipse that of Julio Jones's. I'm just saying. All right, Trent Williams also inked a new deal. His is 5 years, $66 million. You got to keep offensive linemen around. You got to. Good offensive linemen are hard to find. You know, we love the speed and everything, the flash of a wide receiver, the power of a running back. But football games are won in the trenches. If you control the line of scrimmage, you can control a football game. Plain and simple, from start to finish, any good football coach will tell you the same thing. You got to pay your offensive linemen. It's the only way you can win a game. All right, RG3, cleared to play? Not. We don't really know. If I'm in the Redskins building, do I even want RG3 to play at this point? They were saying they wanted to let him play out the whole season to kind of see what they had and figure out if they needed to move forward. To me, this is just, my perspective. RG3, for the good of the Redskins franchise and the good of RG3, is probably time for him to go somewhere else. I think the RG3 show in Washington has sailed. That boat is gone. The day has dawned, and now it's dusk. It's done. It's not. There will be no success. He does not work in the Jay Gruden system. Clearly, I think he has worn out his welcome in Washington. I think the Washington front office people are tired of him. He doesn't have the support he needs. There is a coach somewhere who would support him and help to develop him the way he needs to be developed. Clearly, one of the things that when he came out of college, they said his size, his style of play, health is going to be a long-term issue for him. And that has proven to be 100% correct so far. Health has been a major issue so far in his career. While he's had the success of his rookie season, that has come and gone now, and we've seen major struggles with injuries, with accuracy, and just playing, period. So, as far as if I'm a Redskins coach, if I'm Jay Gruden, let me be Jay Gruden for all of the next 10 minutes. I put RG3 on the bench. Healthy, not, I don't care. He's not the best quarterback on my team, plain and simple. I've seen enough of Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins is not Peyton Manning. He is not Tom Brady. He is not currently a guy that I'm saying I am entrusting my franchise with. But I can tell you right now, today, he is the best quarterback on the Washington Redskins roster. I think he proved that last year. Plain and simple, when RG3 was in there, their passing game struggled. But Kirk Cousins came in and breathed life into it for some time. I mean, he's not surrounded. His offensive line last year wasn't the best. The defense wasn't necessarily giving him a lot of help either, putting him in great situations. Kirk Cousins is a gunslinger. If you give him an opportunity, if you give him the backing of an organization, I believe he has the intelligence to turn into success. I don't think he's a Jay Cutler. Jay Cutler is another gunslinger. When you start using terms like gunslinger, you start thinking of guys like Jay Cutler, like Brett Favre, guys that, they have loads of arm talent, and, they trust that arm. They're going to, you see an inch, and they're going to gun it in there because they believe that they can pull it off. I see that in Kirk Cousins, but I also see the ability to become a wonderful game manager. And I also think if put in the right situation, he could develop into something much better than that. I think he could be in the upper echelon of quarterbacks. I think there was a reason why he fell later on in the draft, and I think that he was a quarterback that needed some time to develop, but because of the RG3 situation, he was forced into service early. I don't think he's been bad at times, but you can also see once he gets flustered, he gets flustered. He is very easily stuck in quicksand. And when I say quicksand, I don't know if you've seen The Replacements. I love that movie. But after one play, it just feels like it's a sinking feeling. And then there's another bad play, and another bad play, and another bad play. And next thing you know, you're up to your eyes and can't get out. Boom. That's the best way I can describe it. And that's what happens with rookie quarterbacks. That's why you want to bring them along slowly, allow them to see things, allow them to be comfortable in the system, because just like anything else, if you have the comfort there, so that way when the stress and the worries and the pressure is piling on, he at least can always trust back that he's not worried about, does he know where the receiver is going to be? Does he know what the call is? He's not stressing about that. So that's always helpful. All right. Let's move on before I just keep talking about this quarterback situation. The NFL took a look at the stickiness of gloves. I'm a guy who I don't mind necessarily, as long as your gloves aren't ridiculous. Most of the gloves on the market today are fine. I don't have a problem with it. I think gloves are helpful. I personally like to feel part of the ball on my hand when I catch it. I think there are a lot of receivers that like to do that as well. But the gloves definitely do help, and I think that is something that, they had to outlaw stick 'em at one point, So there's definitely going to be some guys that are going to push that limit as far as what they're allowed to put on their gloves or what kind of gloves they're allowed to wear. Until you tell them stop, they're going to push that limit. So yeah, that's something that the NFL should definitely keep a close eye on, because I say it all the time. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. All right, this past week marks the 10th anniversary of Hurricane Katrina. The Saints have a message for the city. Let's hear it.
Thank you, New Orleans.
Thank you, New Orleans.
Thank you, New Orleans.
New Orleans, thank you.
For giving us the greatest home field advantage in the NFL.
For refusing to give up and always believing in the city and in us.
For inspiring our success and supporting each other like the family we are.
For being there for us and rocking the dome, supporting us, win or lose.
For giving us something greater to play for than ourselves.
Kane in the pipe! It's rolling inside the box, and it is going to be covered by the Saints for a touchdown! Oh, baby! What a moment, just listen to this crowd!
For not just rebuilding our home, but making it better than it ever was before.
It is good! It's good! It's good!
Reminding the world why New Orleans will always matter.
Together.
As a community,
As a team of Saints.
There is nothing.
there is nothing.
We know there is nothing we can't accomplish.
It's picked off! It's picked off! It's Tracy Porter again! He's running free! He's going to go all the way! Hand outstretched! It is a Saint touchdown!
The Saints were definitely a big part in the revival of New Orleans and the rebuild process that's been going on. All right, moving forward, it's that time. I've already had a couple of drafts, got a couple more round up. It's fantasy football time. And, we got a lot of NFL guys who always have something to say about what's going on in fantasy football. Jeremy Maclin took to Twitter to express his dislike of fantasy football. And let me quote him. He says, "It amazes me how fantasy football is the only football that some of you know. It's sad. Newsflash for y'all. I don't give a damn about your fantasy football team." And honestly, I can understand it. Some guys can get a little bit annoying about fantasy football. LaShawn McCoy said when they had the replacement refs that one of the replacement refs had mentioned to him that he was on their team and things like that. I don't think these guys should be worrying about your fantasy football team. I don't. I'm not one of those that takes, fantasy football that seriously. I think it's fun. I think it's interesting. And I do enjoy picking, players for success for the preseason and during the season and making those changes and things like that. But I don't think it's something that you should be like, hey, Jeremy Maclin, I hate you because you made me lose my fantasy football championship. Well, no, because it was really your fault. Because if you'd have looked at the matchups and probably looked at the free agent wire, you probably could have found somebody who had a better matchup. I'm sorry if he was playing Darrelle Revis. You shouldn't have played him. It's your fault. So that's how I am. I'm more self-inflicting of maybe I should have looked at this a little bit more analytically than blaming the players that I selected. So, hey, I do think Jeremy Maclin has a point. I think some people, take to Twitter, take to Instagram, and take to social media, period, and put pressure on these players or try to put pressure on them and send these guys hate mail and things like that. Hey, you're making me lose my fantasy football team. That's not cool. That's not cool at all. So I don't support that. Do I like fantasy football? Yeah. But do I think you should go after a player because he's not being the success or telling him, hey, you're going to make me win my fantasy football team? He shouldn't care about that, and he doesn't. So I think he has every right to express his opinion. All right, we'll take a quick break, and we'll come back with some more news.
This is the FTP Podcast.
All right, let's go to some basketball. Not quite basketball season, but Derrick Rose still found a way to make them headlines. D. Rose is being sued by his ex-girlfriend, and TMZ is reporting she claims Rose and two of his friends drugged and gang raped her. Rose has come out to defend himself against the allegations and will continue to follow this. All right, let's keep moving. I don't want to spend too much time on that one. An update from Kyrie Irving. His kneecap is getting there. Although he's been working out, he may not return to the court until January. Reports are saying the team wants to take a conservative approach with his rehab. I think we saw with the whole Derrick Rose and his injury situation, it's better to be safe than sorry. Give the man some time. Make sure he's 100% go. All right, the NBA world also lost a legend. Darryl Dawkins passed away at 58. He was a slam dunk machine and brought great energy to the NBA. Chocolate Thunder will surely be missed. The Braves are mourning the loss of a fan. He fell from the upper deck of Turner Field during the 7th inning. Atlanta police and officials say they don't suspect foul play. It's a really sad situation and a sad scene, and definitely something that you got to look at. And you got to be careful of a lot of these stands. I'm always just walking down the stands and on the stairs. I'm always a little bit slower. All right, LA Dodgers announcer Vin Scully will be in the booth for the 2016 season. This will make 67 seasons for Scully and also be his final.
And we go to the bottom of the second inning here at Dodger Stadium. Thanks to Dodger management for breaking the news, if you want to call it news, that God willing, we'll all be back here next year. God willing.
When he walks away from the game, we will definitely be losing a broadcasting legend. He will leave a big void to fill, and I would not want to be the guy trying to replace him. I'm just saying. All right, and Japan wins the Little League World Series with an 18-11 victory over Pennsylvania. All right, let's switch gears again. We're going back to some football, this time in the college world. Let's update a story that we've been following for several months. University of Illinois has fired head football coach Tim Beckman. This comes as a preliminary information from the investigation into the football program has come in. This comes a week before the season kicks off. Ooh, it's always bad when you lose your head football coach a week before the season. Now, let's go for our moment in sports history. We're not going too far back for this one. 1990. Ken Griffey and Ken Griffey Jr. become the first father and son to play on the same team, the Seattle Mariners. Both single in the first inning. Boom. All right, as always, thanks for checking us out. Thanks for listening. We appreciate it. Listen again next week. You need to be following us on Twitter, FTP_tweets. Go like us on Facebook, From the Press Box. You need to follow us on Instagram, From the Press Box. And, you just need to go and check us out on SoundCloud as well, From the Press Box. pretty much, if you Google From the Press Box, will pop up, and you need to be following, subscribing, whatever it may be behind it. Just check out what we've been doing, and as always, we appreciate it. See you next week. Deuces.